L'argent est important, mais on pas de quitter le dévieux. Attendez, c'est pour qu'il y ait combattu, même si la vie dit, apprendre à écrire, c'est ça qui a pris. Bon, quand on l'a pour détruire, money will trust me, boy. Si t'as qui prime, toute violence pour t'a supprimer, c'est pour qu'il y ait combattu, même si la vie dit, apprendre à écrire, c'est ça qui a pris. Bon, quand on l'a pour détruire, money will trust me, boy. Si t'as qui prime, toute violence pour t'a supprimer. Frère, au Pablo avancé, évoluer, ça c'est vrai. L'agent c'est le roi, belle femme, son quoi, pouvoir tout faire, nèg danser. Haïti, pia fait sous un pied, alors si pia fait sous deux. Parce qu'Haïtien, c'est au manger, mais au passé, au posé. Si nèg tête de moi, qu'elle prenne. Ça fait des lions, coquin, chaîne, valet, bref. Depuis que je fais ville, c'est malin, bat la misère, maman, bef. Et jour j'arrive, gain. La fait pour le faire tout tintin. Plié, frotter, soit ici, famille, gang ou prête pour mourir. Tout riche, pas vrai dire, c'est tout les mêmes gens, malin. Je vais faire mon parler d'élite, l'aile tombe, t'es ouais, ça bouli. Si son fait mani, talking moule, ou la get fuck, même femme, y'a tchoul, on profite fuck, y'a mon gars. J'en bouge peignon d'Ala, pas fait crasse, mais bail ti crasse, non mais les hommes ou pas besoin de grâce. Les glas fin l'école, li pas besoin de travail. L'obligé la guécole dans la ria pour le faire brasse. Même j'en femme dans tout, l'obligé n'en pétasse. C'est pour bien être combattu, même si la vie dit. Apprendre à écrire, c'est ça qui a pris. Bon, quand on l'a pour détruire, money will trust me, boy. Si t'as qui prime, toute violence pour t'a supprimer, c'est pour bien être combattu, même si la vie dit. Apprendre à écrire, c'est ça qui a pris. Bon, quand on l'a pour détruire, money will trust me, boy. Si t'as qui prime, toute violence pour t'a supprimer. Pour qui nos sociétés l'argent fait monde divisé.
Greetings, transit community, and welcome to the review of the Bombardier M7s. The M7 is an electrical multiple unit railroad car built by Bombardier with delivery beginning in 2002. It is used by the MTA on the Long Island Railroad, known as the M7, and Metro North Railroad, known as the M7A. The M7 replaced the M1 rail cars, which had previously provided electric service on these lines. Now for their history and descriptions. In late 1999, a contract was awarded to Bombardier for 836 LIRR's M7s. Delivery began in early 2002, and test trains for the LIRR's M7s began on the Ronkonkoma branch. After several successful tests, the M7's revenue service began on the Long Beach branch on October 30th of 2002, and Metro North's first M7As started scheduled service in April 2004. All M7s were delivered by early 2007. Cars are arranged in merry pairs, where each car contains a complete set of controls for an engineer, conductor, or brakeman. However, the B cars, denoted by odd numbers car designations, contain a handicap-accessible restroom, which is larger than the restrooms provided on the M1 and M3 rail cars, and designed to accommodate a wheelchair, as well as an attendant and/or service animal such as a guide dog, hearing dog, or service dog, accompanying the passengers. The enlarged bathroom reduces the number of seats in the car. The M7 was built as two separate but similar models due to the different electrical and signaling systems on the LIRR and Metro North Railroad. Their most notable differences are the color schemes on the cab ends of each car. Metro North's M7As have blue fronts with white stripes, while the Long Island Railroad's M7s have black and yellow fronts. In addition, the Metro North uses underrunning third rail, with the train's third rail shoes collect electricity from the bottom of the third rail, inherited from the former New York Central Railroad, and LIRR's uses overrunning third rails. Metro North's M7As are not equipped with illuminated number boards, while LIRR's M7s are. The Metro North M7s were also used in the 2016 film of The Girl on the Train. On April 19, 2021, the LIRR proposed equipping 2 pairs of M7 railcars with batteries for travel in diesel territory, pending feasibility studies. Moving on to their powertrain is that these trains signify the use of the Mitsubishi Electric IGBT triple VF traction systems, along with the 8x Mitsubishi asynchronous 3-phase AC, known as their motors. After the overhaul, the LIRR's M7 has the MB-5088A, and the Metro North Railroads have the M7As getting the A2 versions of this motor. Now for the post-delivery events. The M7 cars swayed from side to side more than intended when introduced to service and required modifications to reduce the sway. In late 2006, the MTA began replacing all M7 armrests after paying out over $100,000 to customers who filed complaints. The factory-installed armrests were notorious for slipping into trouser pockets and then tearing them when sitting. The new design has a different profile and is coated in a more fabric-friendly rubber. Some passengers complained about having fewer seats per letter B car, a consequence of the larger ADA-compliant restrooms, and about the width of the seats. Metro North's management received feedback about the M7, which influenced the development of the M8 rail cars for the New Haven line. In the fall of 2006, the M7As started to experience serious braking problems due to foliage on the right-of-way, a condition known as slip slide. This caused nearly two-thirds of Metro North's fleet to be taken out of service due to flat spots on the wheels. While the LIRR fleet performed significantly better, strict M1s from both railroads were reactivated and diminished schedules were instituted until the M7 fleet was able to resume full operation. As of 2007, the fleet had the highest mean distance between the failures out of the entire LIRR fleet. This partly had to do with the fleet's newness, and so the fleet often needed to be tested for reliability. As for the incidents, on February 3, 2015, an M7A on Metro North's Harlem line was involved in a level crossing collision with a car stopped on the tracks in Valhalla, New York. 6 people were killed and at least 15 were injured. Car 4333 was destroyed in the subsequent fire. On October 8, 2016, an M7 train on the Long Island Railroad's Port Jefferson branch sideswiped a work train near the New Hyde Park station. Multiple cars, known as 7033, 7034, and 7044 were damaged and eventually scrapped. Car 7044's mate, known as 7043, was in storage until 2017 when it was mated with car 7554, which lost its mate 7553. On January 4, 2017, an M7 train on the Long Island Railroad's Atlantic branch overshot a bumper at Atlantic Terminal's Track 6. Although no one was killed, over 100 passengers were injured. Car 7553 was seriously damaged in the collision after a broken rail pierced the underbody, creating a large hole. The car was eventually scrapped, and its mate, 7554, was mated with car 7043. On July 21, 2018, an M7 train stored in the Long Island Railroad's West Side Yard derailed. 2 cars, 7019 and 7364, were damaged and were eventually scrapped. On February 26, 2019, an M7 train on the Long Island Railroad's Ronkonkoma branch struck a truck, causing the lead car to derail and strike the Westbury Station platform. Car 7425 was seriously damaged as a result and was eventually scrapped. 3 people in the truck were killed, while there were no fatalities on the train. The individuals were fleeing the scene of a motor vehicle accident and went around lowered railroad crossing gates. On August 3, 2023, a Long Island Railroad train on the Hampstead line derailed on Thursday morning in Queens, New York. The train, which was carrying about 100 passengers, derailed east of Jamaica Station at 11:22 in the morning. 6 of 8 cars of the train derailed, injuring 13 people. The train had departed from Grand Central and was headed to Hampstead. The derailment occurred when the train went through a misaligned switch. The MTA announced that they had made tremendous progress after the derailment. 6 of 8 cars were re-railed back onto the tracks after the investigation. Now time for my story. Back in 2011, when I was beginning my knowledge of the transit system, the Metro North and Long Island Railroad were my new obsessions, along with New York City transit buses and trains. The M7 models were my first sight and my favorites on those railroad systems. Just as when I went to Queens with my dad one day, the M7s on the LIRR were what I saw for the first time. In August 2013, when I was waiting to leave New York City on a Metro North at Grand Central Station, I spotted a few sets of the M7As at the station. However, as I expected to ride on one of these models, there is a set I didn't expect to ride on. What arrived to take us off was the Alstom Comet 5, though it was my first time ever taking the Metro North Railroad. That day was when I was going to a sleepaway camp based on the Fresh Air Fund with the staff for the first time, and it was on the Hudson line for us to get off at V. Aiken Station. By the time I was in high school, from August 2017 to June 2021, especially when it was after the COVID-19 pandemic, Uncommon Charter High School was the school I graduated from. It is located next to the elevated rail where the Long Island Railroad runs back and forth every 45 minutes to an hour on Atlantic Avenue. When sitting in class, away or from or near the window, I would always imagine myself riding it passing by my school. It can be distracted, but having the train running next to my school is my personal remedy. By December 20th of 2022, it was my first time riding the Long Island Railroad, and finally it was an M7 model and with the unit 7050. I was riding it on the Hampstead line from Atlantic Avenue's Barclays Center station all the way to that terminal in Long Island. Then when I came back to Brooklyn, I took 7663 to East New York Station. On March 18, 2023, I took 7638 to Hollis and Queens on the Floral Park line. On April 2nd, I took 7184 to Jamaica to transfer to the Ronkonkoma line with the M9 on my way to Pine Lawn to see my mother's entombment. On April 24th, I took 7295 to Jamaica to gain more bus fanning experience. On May 27th, it was my second time riding the Metro North in nearly 10 years. There, I was riding the M7A number 4124 on the Croton-Harmon line to Yonkers. When I came back to New York City, I took 4086 back to Grand Central Terminal. The next day, May 28th, I took 7426 to Jamaica. That day was when I was waiting to get a ride on the M3, since I had never been on any of them. On July 21st, I took one set up the M7 from Penn Station to Metz Willets Point. After I came back from the U.S. Open Tennis Courts Human Resources Department, I took the same set back to Penn Station. Until today, I rode more and more sets of the M7s on the LIRR, even when I was working for the U.S. Open Tennis Tournament of 2023 for 13 days from August 28th to September 10th. I took some sets mostly after midnight on my way home. As for the analytics, these M7s are the most reliable train models I am inspired to on any LIRR and MNRR branch. Unlike their predecessors, like the M3s, these were the first to offer the greatest amount of customer-friendly specs. These rail sets, which I rode for the first time since 2022, felt like an airplane on the tracks on both railroad branches. Unlike the M7s, their newest counterparts, the M9s, are the most recent modern-friendly trains that were brought to New York City in 2018 from Kawasaki Rail Manufacturing. The M9s may be similar, but they are what I call the R211 series of the LIRR system. What I like about these M7s are their schemes on the front ends, their layout for restrooms, the married pairs, the announcement audio, and their propulsion. Speaking of the announcement, Van Ritchie is the speaker behind these announcements for both the LIRR and Metro North Railroad.
This station is Woodside. This is the train to Grand Central. The next station is Grand Central.
But one downside compared to the M9s is that there aren't any outlets for any seating areas. If you were to ask me which of the two railroad branches of the M7 I prefer, my preference is the sets from LIRR. This is due to their simplicity in their colors and illuminated numbers on their faces. What I like best about both railroads are their designs and their unique propulsion runs. Speaking of their propulsions, when MTA projected to equip batteries on LIRR's two M7 pairs for the Oyster Bay branch, the study for it in 2022 was concluded, but it was deemed not feasible for the diesel lines. Now the rate for these trains is a 10 out of 10. So thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And I hope for the new transit fans to get your experiences on these M7s on both the Long Island Railroad and Metro North Railroads. And as for the longtime fanners, what are your thoughts on these M7s?
J'suis sur my eyes only dans son bigot. Bébé va rentrer tard, j'la charge en moto, en casque Momo. Mamé, à la fois j'lui passe la veste à 3 points chez Moschino. Hombre, tu ne sais pas mais je te voulais depuis Mino. Mamé, ménage de se bagarrer, on va seulement se garer. J'te joue pas de violon, tu sais que j'suis violent. Le bif tout ça c'est carré, ton avenir j'peux assumer. J'te joue pas de violon, j'te joue pas de violon.
C'est trop compliqué, j'arrête bientôt. Le cas est black tout comme Viano. J'lève mon flash à ta santé, mais c'est chaud. Ma chérie veut Yves Saint Lolo. J'te donne mon cœur fait par Bobo. Même t'as pas à elle fait la photo. Tout va bien. chante Lolo. Je suis certifié, je peux pas te follow. Tout va bien. Madame veut connaître mon budget pour la vie, mais ça charbonne encore donc c'est varié. À la fin du bal on rencontrera les amis. Versace sur ma gauche, je l'emmène danser. Il paraît que les Seychelles c'est cher. Dis-moi le prix, je te dis si c'est dans mes cordes. Fais pas la vis là, tu pas né hier. Tu fais la meuf qui boude dans le féfé. C'est trop compliqué, j'arrête bientôt. Le cas est black tout comme Viano. Je lève mon flash à ta santé, mais c'est chaud. Ma chérie veut Yves Saint Lolo. Je te donne mon cœur fait par Bobo. Même t'as pas elle fait la photo. Tout va bien. Piloti cocktail coco. J'écoute au Malais, elle chante Lolo. Je suis certifié, je peux pas te follow. Tout va bien.
À cette heure-ci, je dois être à Miami. Ils ont scellé la sape et la rollie. Un peu romantique, un peu gangoli. Je suis un peu Manny, je suis un peu Tony. À cette heure-ci, je dois être à Miami. Ils ont scellé la sape et la rollie. Un peu romantique, un peu gangoli. Je suis un peu Manny, je suis un peu Tony. Je suis dans le resto, festin, on le fait à l'instinct. 10 millions et je laisse tomber. Il faut la crypto, Christo. On a pris le cuistot, je préfère les plats de la madre.
Ma chérie veut Yves Saint Lolo. Je te donne mon cœur fait par Bobo. Même t'as pas elle fait la photo. Tout va bien. Piloti cocktail coco. J'écoute au Malais, elle chante Lolo. Je suis certifié, je peux pas te follow. Tout va bien.
Mami, I-L-O-N-Z-O-N-A-P-S. Annie.